Scorpio, this is your week ahead astrology forecast by Astrology Motivation from Born Without Boundaries. In this video, every single week, I review the major planetary aspects and transits and how they impact your natal sun and what that means for your bottom line day to day. We start off really broad with those things that are big and everybody should know about because they'll impact us all in a general way. And then I focus down into Scorpio specific information. And then I move on to the decans. And a decan is a group of 10 degrees. And by breaking up each zodiac sign into decans, there are 3 decans in every zodiac sign, it helps me understand exactly what aspects other planets are making to your natal sun. And that lets me know how your natal sun is going to be impacted week to week. So all you need to enjoy this video is to know your birth date. That's all, because I will be translating the degrees and the decans into correlating birthdays. But if you want the most accurate reading, make sure that you get a natal chart after you finish this video. It's easy, it's cheap. You can get them on many different websites. Just search free natal chart or free birth chart. You need your birth date, your birth time, and your birth location. And when you put all that information in, it spits out a full natal chart for you in a couple of seconds. So let's start, Scorpio, with the big stuff. This week covers July 11th through the 17th. And the big stuff really is kind of big this week because we have 2 major occurrences. Number 1, on the 17th, we have a new moon in Cancer. But this new moon in Cancer is quite complex because of how it's aspected. The new moon is in opposition to Pluto, which immediately makes it a big deal and because new moons are all about welcoming in something new anyway. The fact that it's in opposition to Pluto means its potency is ridiculously high and it will not take no for an answer. It's also square to Chiron, which means it has trouble accessing its newness because of traumas or struggles or pain that is associated with these releases that have to happen prior to the new start. And it's also trying to Neptune, which means it is highly creative and tends to lean on fantasy. So what are we starting our new start with? Are we basing it on fantasy, fiction, or reality? These are all major themes that are coming up around this new moon in Cancer, and I think it's worth noting. We also have another major transition, and that is a transition between the nodes. So the nodes are transitioning. They transit every 18 months, which is every year and a half. They transit from one zodiac sign to another. So our south nodes, and remember, south node and north node are not actually 2 different things. They are one path that goes across the sky. They mark the south and north nodes of the moon. So ultimately, they change in relation to Earth every 18 months. And what's happening now is the south node, which has been in Scorpio for the past year and a half, is going to be transiting into Libra. And the north node is going to be transiting from Taurus into Aries. What does this mean? It means that our challenges and our mindset, even our focus on Earth, is going to be shifting from the external versus the internal, what is on the surface versus what is hidden, to the individual versus the partnership, togetherness versus independence, individuality. And since the south node is now in Libra, where almost 18 years ago, the south node was opposite. It was reversed, right? The south node was in Aries, where we were getting really comfortable with the concept of individuality and independence being first and being where we felt the best. Now we're challenged in reverse. What are those complications and what are those challenges to individuality versus our comfort zone being in partnership? This is opening our hearts to a whole new concept of are we good here? Have we really formed, have we really taken comfort in partnerships the way that we should have? So our focus and a lot of the arguments are going to go back and forth now between individuality versus partnership, and maybe the bridge between the two. So these are huge consciousness shifts, is what I'm saying. This new moon is going to be interesting. I mean, a new moon in opposition to Pluto is going to be quite formidable. A new moon always involves the sun. It's the moon conjunct the sun. So all week long, the sun is going to be in opposition to Pluto and square to the nodes. So as these nodes transit from where they currently are into their new nodal positions, we're going to get a huge shift because the sun is squaring them and Pluto is squaring them as well, and the sun and Pluto are opposite. So there's a huge kind of rupture that I think, maybe even a fissure or a crack that is happening that we're no longer going to be able to ignore come this week. This is a big consciousness change. We still have Venus conjunct to Mars, but it's breaking up. They're slowly separating because Mars is moving at its regular trajectory, whereas Venus is starting to slow down. By the end of this month, by I think the 28th, Venus will start going into retrograde. So she's not moving as fast. She's not keeping up with Mars anymore. By the end of this week, they'll have broken their 5-degree conjunction to each other. So it's less intense than it was, but that's at the end of this week. The North Node is going to be trine to Venus and Mars. But that means the South Node is going to be sextile to it. So definitely the sextile is coming. Where's the opportunity? Where's the functionality? South Node, the comfortability of the partnership, the house of partnerships, the house of what do we build together? This is a really interesting shift in our consciousness as a society, because I don't think that that's been something that we even have cared about for a while. So it comes at just the right time. Saturn is also causing a lot of tension in the sky this week because Saturn is in opposition to Mars all week. In fact, I think that opposition stays right through the 30th of this month. That's quite a contentious energy, especially since Saturn is also semi-square to Chiron. There's a lot of resistance and there's a lot of restriction and like feeling like you're being held back and feeling like it's all your fault and because you're just not good enough or you're not ready. So there's a lot of room for doubt, anxiety, and depression in the air. And as consciousness shifts, there could be also almost like overreaction to the shift in it, whether that's good or bad. But I'm feeling that it can be quite contentious. This energy is not the easiest energy. All week long, we have a grand square in the sky between Pluto, Sun opposite Pluto, and the North and South Node as they change. How we see ourselves, because the Sun represents our sense of ego. How we see ourselves is starting to shift. It is starting to change. And it's extreme because it involves Pluto. I wrote so much stuff down, guys. So here we have the new moon on the 17th. This is the synchronicity is crazy. The same day that the nodes shift, we have this new moon. And the new moon is opposite Pluto, trine to Neptune, and sextile to Uranus, which means it's also square to Chiron. So we're dealing with a lot of, have we been able to move on? Have we been allowed to move on? And why haven't we? Have we been fooling ourselves? If we've been fooling ourselves, are we ready to confront it? Or will we fight based on our fantasies instead of our reality? The sextile to Uranus suggests that independence or individualism is something that is offering opportunities to us. Creativity with that Neptunian energy that's trine opposite Pluto, this sense of, it could have a sense of opening and broadening and expanding our comprehension of this new shift into this new consciousness between partnership and individuality. So it's not just one or the other. There could be opportunities that we haven't considered yet. Anything sextile Uranus will basically throw curveballs at you, especially with your capabilities and what you think you're capable of. Maybe even some technology opening up opportunities for you that you didn't expect. So this new moon on the 17th is going to be quite surprising, is all I'm saying. That's the big stuff, and that's a lot. How does this impact Scorpios specifically? Well, first we look at the zodiac sign of Scorpio, right? And we take this, the South Node is now at 0 degrees Scorpio. On the 17th, or by the 16th, it transitions into Libra. So the South Node is actually dropping out of Scorpio. So there's a sense of the comfortability of all these scorpionic subjects being listened to, being praised, is going to drop off. And that may cause a lot of tension with Scorpios, especially those Scorpios and Scorpio 1. This sense of your ability to influence people may not be as strong as it used to be. The influence over the past couple of years was because that South Node, this comfort zone, was there. But now that it's not with you anymore, it may take a toll on your ability to actually push people in the direction that you want them to go. Just an FYI. Now, your two ruling dignitaries are things that we have to take into consideration too. We have Pluto and Mars. So, and I say that because it happens to everybody, Scorpio. It's not just you. Anywhere the South Node is, people have a tremendous comfort with that energy. And anywhere the North Node is, and I know this by working in astrology and tarot for years now, anytime the North Node is in a sign, people are having a lot of trouble because everybody around you acts as if you're a pariah, like you're offering an energy that just is there to make them uncomfortable intentionally. And everybody that goes through the North Node has experienced that. The uptick in Gemini questions and then now Taurus questions, I mean, over the past couple of years has been huge because anywhere the North Node is, there's a lot of dissonance because everybody around you is angry at you. You're saying things or offering energies that they're resisting. But the North Node isn't a bad thing. It's actually where you need to go or what you need to face in order to move forward. The South Node is a pitfall. It's a sense of, oh yeah, I can, you're so comfortable with me, I can get anything I want out of you at all. But is it really healing or helping? Not really. It's just offering comfort, and comfort has got nothing to do with growth. So you've enjoyed, especially Scorpio 1s over this past couple of months, have really enjoyed this sense of, yeah, people feel really comfortable with everything that I'm offering up to them. But simultaneously, now that that's stripping off, those challenges, you may be challenged more, is what I'm saying, over the last end of the year. And it's not an irregular amount of challenge. It's just you get real cushy real fast with being said yes to or having everybody on your side, right? Winning the debates and what you offer being taken really seriously, that you forget where there's an up, there's always a down. And now you're starting to come down on the other side of that. So if you're not demanding that kind of attention or entitlement, you don't feel entitled to it, then you're going to be fine. But there is a drop off here, is what I'm saying to everybody that's experienced the South Node. And that's true for everybody that has experienced them. Certainly Sagittarius energy took a hit after it left a couple of years back, and now you guys are. This is nothing new. I think even Capricornian energy took a hit up to 5 or 6 years ago. No. 5 years ago now, when the nodes were in Cancer and Capricorn. Certainly Capricorns got away with a lot. That corporate world was getting away with a lot, and then after it shifted, it wasn't as easy anymore, and there was more questions put forward. And so I'm just letting you guys know, especially Scorpio 1s, that there's a drop off here, and you'll start to feel normal levels of difficulty, but you may have gotten a little slack, right? Just an FYI. I'm just telling you. It's not about Scorpio. It's about the effect of the North Node on your natal suns. The South Node on your natal suns. FYI. So we move over to Mars and Pluto now. Mars and Pluto are your ruling dignitaries. Pluto is your modern ruler. So Pluto is your ruling dignitary, but Mars was your traditional ruler for centuries. And so it still absolutely impacts your character, 100%. So we're going to talk about both of them. Mars is in Virgo, and it's moving between 0 and 4 degrees of Virgo. That makes it tough energy to begin with, because Mars in Virgo moves pedantically. It likes its details, it likes its schedules, and it doesn't like to get off schedules. It can get very irritable when the expected doesn't happen. And then it's also in opposition to Saturn, which makes it much more facetious and much more resistant and irritable, because Saturn is in Pisces. And I've talked about this before, this impact on Mars of feeling like it's sort of dead in the water and it doesn't know which action to take, because what Saturn is trying to do has never been done before. It's trying to give structure to the dream realm, to the mysteries. And there's no, like, Virgos like to go by the book. And when Virgo is in Mars, Mars likes to go by the book with the expected, the things that have already been established. Well, nothing's been established yet. And so this Saturn in Pisces is really giving a huge challenge to, okay, then I have to write something from scratch. We have to start completely new in terms of the actions that we're taking. And that takes a lot more time, and there is no book to fall back on. So it can be very frustrating energy in terms of how you move and how you move forward with things. We also have we also have Mars conjuncted to Venus, still in conjunction to Venus, which is a highly sexual energy. It is a highly virile energy. But as it goes into Virgo, it expects more. It becomes much more, okay, but how have you committed to these actions that we're taking, right? So there can be tension there, especially with that opposition to Saturn. Mars is sextile to the South Node, which means it has gotten comfortable. It's fallen in a comfort zone of how to do things, and now how to do things is being challenged. Trine to the North Node, which means you'll find harmony in opening yourself up to the challenges. And then we have, talked about the opposition to Saturn. Let's talk about Pluto, because once again, Pluto is highly activated. It has a long-term sextile to Neptune, which means over the next 13 years, it is reconstructing and changing our sense of spirituality and our connection to the divine and the psychic. 100%. This energy is not to be hidden or undermined anymore. It's a very spiritual energy, very potent, and very psychic. That's long term, though. This week, the opposition to the sun will really dominate Pluto's energy, because there's this energy of a shift in conscious awareness of your ego, of everybody's ego, of what's being brought to light, of those things that have hidden in the dark now being brought up and being talked about and being having a shine put on them. But Pluto is all about dynamic change, and so there is a formidability about the sun opposite Pluto, that anything that's brought to light, we're not going to be able to ignore. We're not going to be able to repress it anymore. There's no chance of that, because the energy is too big to hide anymore. FYI. So anything that has been repressed is going to come up, like it or not. Pluto's also squared to the nodes, which means there is a dynamic change that's been going on, but now it involves how we appear on the outside and our ego, or any ego that you're dealing with. And this shift is going to now happen because things are being brought into the consciousness, not only the consciousness, into sort of the public realm of what is open, that you're going to have to face. It's definitely going to change things. It doesn't have to ruin things, but it's definitely going to change things because the things need to be changed. So let's go into the decans. Scorpio, if you know your natal sun falls between 0 and 9 degrees Scorpio. It falls in the first decan of Scorpio. You are Scorpio ones. This correlates to October Scorpios. So that's usually between, say, the 22nd of October through the 31st of October. Definitely the Halloween babies. 100% the Libra cuspers. That's usually the 21st, 22nd, 23rd. So this is your birthday range. If that's where you were born, you are a Scorpio 1. But especially you cuspers have had it real nice for the past year and a half with that south node, cozy to your sun's energy. People just feeling good about you, comfortable with you, buying everything you're putting out there. Or it's been much more easier for you than certainly it's been for the Tauruses on the other side. That is shifting. That south node is leaving. Now, if you're on the cusp, technically your natal suns are still going to be conjunct the south node for probably another year. It's going to be in a tight conjunction to you guys. So, maybe not in the year, another few months. So just an FYI, just know that that's kind of going to be shifting over the next 6 months or so. But you still have it. You definitely still have it, but the energy will change. Because now it's going to be focused on partnership, not focus on the forbidden. It's going to be focused on partnership. So that could work out for you. We have a sextile to Mars, which means there's major energy here, major energy shift. Also a sextile to Venus. There's a square to the new moon. If you're at the cusps, you are sextile to Venus. You are square to this new moon, which means there's challenges and complications that come with any kind of new beginning or new start or new subject that comes up with you around this new moon. In opposition to the North Node, certainly you've been dealing with that for a while. These long-term aspects, the trine to Saturn, the square to Pluto, there's resistance here. There's resistance and challenge to anything that isn't as expected or kind of traditional. So you're gonna feel a shift in this right now. That's not necessarily going to be the easiest. Letting you know that's something that will affect your day to day. By the 16th of July, your natal suns will be square to Mercury. So that means sort of your own little Mercury retrograde. I would not sign any major contracts as of even the 14th. I would not take any major tests or give any major presentations or go on any major auditions as of, say, the 14th. Because the square to Mercury means there's sort of going to be dissonance in terms of communications. And it's just not something you want to take a risk on when it's important, especially around this new moon. This could be a cause of the dissonance. There is a square to Mercury that could be really getting in your way. That's through the 16th. Okay. Oh, so that's all week. Okay, I apologize. All week, guys. Through the 16th. Almost all week. I would just watch it. Just make sure that you don't put yourself out there or sign anything important or anything like that, because that Mercury square to your natal suns, especially with the opposition to Pluto, it's just going to be, and around that new moon, it's just going to be challenging, maybe even challenging conversations, information that comes up that challenges your concept of reality, is at least reality within whatever situation you're dealing with it in. So it might behoove you to get your natal chart and find out what house Mercury is in right now and what house this new moon is in right now. Mercury just transited into Leo. The new moon is in Cancer, so wherever that energy is in your life is really where it's going to play out in. So it might actually be really good for you to know where that is or know where to expect it. FYI. Let's move on to Scorpio 2s. So Scorpio 2s, by the 16th, your natal suns are going to be square to Mercury. So get whatever you need to get done in the beginning of the week that's important in terms of communications or information exchange, because by the 16th, you're going to start to feel that those communications breaking down or getting jumbled or things not going as expected. And this is really important for you to like get all the important stuff done this week. There's also an opposition between your natal suns and Jupiter, which can cause sort of big-headedness and a challenge of slowing down and not expecting things too fast or going too fast. Jupiter will really it will really stimulate your optimism, which is really good. It will stimulate your desire to grow and expand, but it could hyper stimulate it to a point where it's not actually even realistic to go there. It's great for inspiration and motivation, but it's really will undermine you when it comes to expectation and outcome. So if you just slow it down, it could be a really, really good thing. Let's go on to Scorpio 3s. So Scorpio 3s, your natal suns are, especially if you're at the cusp, your natal suns are square to Mars and square to Venus. This means dissonance or challenge when it comes to your relationships. Just rough conversations that come up, stress that could come up. This is not a great time to, it's just not a great time for you to change your hair color, change any aesthetics. You could be frustrated since Venus is square to Uranus. You could be just frustrated and bored, and that could be the challenge in your sense of sexuality right now. So this will be sort of a challenging time, a time that could challenge your self-control, your integrity, and make you face a wee bit of your desires that might challenge what you have in general. It doesn't mean everything's going to fall apart, but it will take a lot more energy to keep it together. Just an FYI. Your natal suns are trine the sun all week long, so this is actually going to be really good and soothing for your ego and for your ability to talk about things. So the resistance in your relationships might come from them not wanting to. There's also going to be a trine to the new moon, so this is a very beautiful energy for you to begin something new and actually harmonize a circumstance that you needed to be refreshed on, that you needed to just clear out and start new on. That's an actually very blessed time. It's a wonderful time to manifest and use the energy of the new moon to welcome in something new whenever it's trying to your natal sun. You also have an opposition to Uranus, which is long term. That means that there is dissonance in your individuality or restraints or restrictions to you being able to shine and be who you are or accept those odder, stranger parts of you. Though right now the energy encourages it. On the 12th of this week, so that's tomorrow if you watch this when the video comes out, on the 12th the moon is going to conjunct Uranus, which is in opposition to your natal suns. And moon conjunct Uranus is it's a very strange energy. It's a feeling of being strange and really a difficult energy to sort of pin down or comprehend. So this could just intensify the opposition to Uranus and make you feel make it a lot more emotional for you, anything that opposition to Uranus is triggering, like your sensibilities toward your own sense of who you are and am I accepted for who I am or am I not? This could really become a major issue, especially around the 12th. Though it will dissipate, it is kind of, it will be intense that day. And then we have a sextile to Pluto and a trine to Neptune, which means you're ready for change. You actually want change. It doesn't mean that it's going to be comfortable. The trine to Neptune means that there's an easement when it comes to your soul through creativity, through happiness, through creativity, through being able to express yourself creatively. and even in some ways to trust your dreams, a real harmony when it comes to your psychic abilities or your psychic energies to fall back on. So giving things substance and measuring them is not where you're going to take comfort this week. It's honestly where you can't explain. The unexplainable is going to be where you take comfort this week. So you let me know in the comments below, everybody, because I would love to know. And definitely come over to Born Without Boundaries for your week ahead tarot card reading. I would love for you guys to come over there and subscribe there as well. Don't forget to subscribe here and like this video before you log off. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you next week.